Hi everyone and welcome back. My video today is going to give you some insight into what being a medical student is really like. Today I'm going to talk about 8 things you should know before you apply to medical school. You may already have some preconceptions of what being a medical student means. Yes, we can party hard, and yes, we work hard, but there's more emotive aspects to the marathon of study than just reading books. Okay, let's get into it. So I've gained a lot of positive qualities from medical school. None of us got there easily, so being humiliated on the ward in front of a patient and a group of medical students is going to happen. I think most of us have experienced some humiliating episode at some point or another. It just means that you grow from it, to be honest. That being said, your personality will change and the way you are perceived and in the world and the way you have to behave in the world will be completely different and change forever. Becoming a doctor means that you have to abide by professional rules. And this is going a little off topic here because mainly my original point was to say you will become a different person, but you will become a different person from upholding the ethos and mantra of a doctor, because that's what you have to do. I think sometimes people can find that really difficult because it can be quite hard to let loose and be yourself when you're bound by this professional code of conduct. That's something to think about. Number 1. Number 2 is you will cry at work, and if not at work, you will cry about work. I've cried in the toilets more times than I'd like to admit, and I know that I'm not the only one, and I know that I won't be the last one. To sum up, crying is a necessity of life. Without it, you'll implode. It's important to recognise that your emotional response is completely normal and you need to just let it happen. Number 3. Medical student syndrome, and if you don't know what this is, you will by the time you finish medical school. So unfortunately, as a medical student, you will be trained to think of the worst possible scenario, so you will end up doing it to yourself. Everybody thinks you're a hypochondriac, but it's a well-known problem. My head hurts so much. I've definitely got a brain tumour. I'm so short of breath. Definitely got a PE. Definitely got Giardia. Oh, I think I've perforated my appendix. I'm so tired. Definitely anemic. Goiter. The moral of the story here is that you will almost certainly become a hypochondriac and catastrophise. Not good for your mental health. But recognising these thoughts and the rarity of those particular diseases will help you to rationalise, saving your sanity. Probably one of my worst experiences in medical school was the first time I had to be around, deal with a dead body. And again, that might sound really obvious, but I went into medicine to help people stay alive, and the first dead body I ever saw was an autopsy. There's just something about them, and I think in our society we are not surrounded by death. We thoroughly avoid it. It's incredibly taboo. So for me to go and see my first dead body, I've never been close to fainting in my life. Definitely my least favourite part of the job. I would recommend getting some experience. Just going to a funeral director, doing some work experience there will set you in great stead to handle that first time. You will eat, sleep, breathe and dream medicine. Medicine will become your life. You will live with doctors. You will be surrounded by doctors. You will spend all your day with doctors or medical students. You end up consumed by speaking in this other language that nobody understands, and as a result you get in trouble for it. Non-medical people eventually probably get a bit annoyed. They don't understand what you're saying. Also, there have been so many incidents on public transport where medical people have been called out for talking about confidential things on public transport. I really don't want medicine to become my life, so I live with loads of doctors now, but I just try and keep a hobby that's not with doctors, and whatever that may be, just turn off from medicine for the evening. It'll do you favours. Number 6. You will become extremely existential. So the amount of existential crises I've had because I'm like, what's the meaning of life? Why am I even here? Am I gonna die when I'm 30? Because all we see is death, life and death and disease. And that can be very misleading because you think everyone is walking around or not walking around dying and they're sick, and actually we just don't see the people that aren't sick. So it really makes you question your existence. It even hits home more when you can relate a patient or their experience or their family member to your life, and that can be really humbling because you're like, ah. So I think what I'm trying to do to help myself is, I know there are lots of books about death and dying, and it's a really horrible concept to get your head around because you are your world, and when you're not there, nothing's there to you. It's just mind-blowing. To keep my sanity, I'm still working through that one. I guess what I'm trying to do is try to like live in the moment, and therefore be like, well, just sitting here thinking about it is not going to do anything. It's a work in progress, but it's something to consider before you start medicine. Number 7. Eventually, someone, I said hopefully, because can you hope that a patient will do this to you? Hopefully a patient, and not your friend, they will eventually vomit or poo or wee on you or bleed on you. You will get somebody else's bodily fluid on you. It's just how it goes. I've had all of them. I've had somebody urinate on my feet, vomit in my face. Oh, I've had somebody burp in my face. And often all of these, you think, well, why don't you just avoid it? But they're all so unexpected, and the situations where they happen, you can't just walk away, so just expect that it might get a little bit messy. Lastly, number 8. Now this one is probably something that all prospective medical students think about. Becoming a medical student is fraught with expectations, and it's not just your family's, which I think most people would think about, but it's your own. You put a lot of pressure on yourself, and you go from being a high achieving student at A level or whatever equivalent, and you go from high to being middle of the pack, and it's crap. You're like, am I even meant to be here? But yes, you are, because again, like I said in the other point about existentialism, you only see the people that got into medical school. Not only do you have to deal with your family's expectations and your own, you have to deal with the expectations of your work, the expectations of the public. That's a big one, and that's something that's drilled into you on, day one of medical school. Don't go putting your things up on social media because people will see it, and you've got the medical profession's reputation to uphold, so it's quite a big thing to think about. I think what's difficult is you might want to go and blow off some steam and be a bit crazy. You're just not allowed to do it. That can be why it's quite hard, and that's probably why a lot of doctors have drug and alcohol problems. They let loose a bit. But 18 is a time where you can go and be fun and enjoy your life, and then you go into a professional job, all of that changes. I guess it's kind of like, I mean, I don't know because I don't have children, but I feel like it's probably a bit like when people become mums, maybe. You go from being able to do what you want to having to look after a child, so it's just a different life. So, you've made it to the end. Thank you all so much for watching. I really want to assure you that this video was not made to put anyone off medicine, rather just to educate people about what entering into this profession really entails and what impact it will have on your life. Knowing beforehand so you can set your expectations can be really beneficial. It may even make you reconsider whether you're ready to take all of that on at such an early age as I did at 18. Go and enjoy the world in your youth. I've been in education for nearly 22 years and I'm really looking forward to a break. See you in the video and go check out my blog in the description.
One last time, you should give us a chance, we feel alive.